Welcome everyone to the Fast Dash MBA course. We have a lot of great content and it is our goal to get you up to speed on what to expect from an MBA program. So with that said, let's begin with the overview presentation of the course. What can you expect from this program? Firstly, what is the Fast Dash MBA? It's a course about understanding the why and purpose behind each individual class a student will be taught in their MBA program. Why did we create it? Simply to provide a guide consisting of all key points for each student to read, study, and reference before taking the actual course. Now, who is it for? For individuals starting, attending, or curious about an MBA program, entrepreneurs looking to expand their business expertise, and really anybody interested in business. How is the course structured? We've divided it into 4 sections. First, the introduction, which you're seeing now, functional, management, and analytical. Each video is done through voiceover PowerPoints and are all straight to the point and about 4 to 7 minutes each. In the introduction section, there's terminology worksheets that we've provided for you to download that are going to be easy reference for all the definitions of key concepts that you'll be seeing in each of the videos. Here's how we've designed for each video to be structured to present all the information. First, we'll have a basic slide, which will provide all the key concepts covered by your MBA program for that specific subject. Next, we'll have the why slide. It'll explain why MBA programs are studying that specific topic. After that, we're looking at the purpose slide, which is just a further exploration of the why. Next, we'll have a takeaway slide, which will present the best applicable information learned from the course. And depending on the video, some slides will be different, providing additional content such as diagrams, charts, etc. Lastly, you'll have the course experience slide, which you'll get to hear from our personal experience going through that course. Welcome to marketing, the first topic in our Fast Dash course on what to expect when pursuing an MBA. And today, I will be walking you through all the information you'll need to understand before taking your first marketing class. With that said, let's begin. Here are the basic topics your marketing class will be covering that you'll want to become familiar with. Make sure to download the files we've created for you in the terminology worksheet section of the curriculum so you can reference them at any time and begin developing a general understanding of these key topics. Why is marketing an important concept of your MBA program? Because without it, there would be no business. To sum up this slide, an effective marketing plan can do the following. Managers will get to know the ins and outs of their target customers, which will then allow them to effectively communicate with their customers, and as a result, can develop optimal strategies for pricing, promotion, and distribution channels. Remember, marketing is about understanding who the right customer is for the product or service the business sells. What's the purpose of marketing? Essentially, it's about comprehending how we actually get money from our marketing strategy. The following bullet points focuses on 2 things. 1, the importance of understanding how money is being generated through the customer, and 2, the process of how companies can develop strategies to find and retain these customers. The marketing mix. This is great information to keep in your back pocket because it shows everything that goes into marketing and how it's a constant loop of all these categories interfacing with one another. You have product strategy and policy, channels of distribution, which is just the steps your product goes through to reach the consumer, pricing strategy, and communication, how to advertise and promote the product or service. The process of finding your relevant target market is done through marketing research. Here are a few examples of what goes into marketing research that you'll be learning about as you progress through your marketing course. The 3 marketing tools listed here are some of the most common processes conducted in business. Not only are they great for marketing purposes, but they are also used in several other functions of a business, such as strategy. Because marketing and strategy go hand in hand, we'll be covering them more in depth later in the course. For my course experience, I learned there's a lot of moving pieces that go into marketing, especially as an entrepreneur who's been through the beginning stages of developing a product and testing it in the market. We utilized unique Microsoft Excel programs for data-driven results, developing marketing plans, and reviewing different case studies. The subtopics you see here are just some examples that were covered in these lessons. Overall, it was a very informational course that taught me how marketing is conducted through all businesses.
This class right now will be Operations Management, so welcome to it and let's get started. Before you are the basic 8 bullet points for an Operations Management class, and each MBA school will teach you these 8 things, and professors might go in this order or they might switch it around, but please download the worksheets in the work or see the workbooks provided for you, and you can learn more about it and use them as reference points moving forward. Why do we study operations management in an MBA setting? The simple answer is meeting customer requirements. As you're reading through the first bullet points, we're keeping customers happy, and that shows superior customer service. While the second bullet point is how to get the job done timely with little error, while the third bullet point is being competitive by automation. And the final bullet point is understanding how daily operations leads to lower cost. And that in a nutshell is why we're studying operations management in a business setting. Understanding the purpose behind operations management can be summed up in 2 words: efficiency and effectiveness. And below all these bullet points like supply chain, supplier strategy and logistics, and customer service are just resources that each business school will use to teach you and show you examples of the main purpose behind operations. The main takeaways you want from your operations class are listed in these 3 bullet points in front of you. The first one, to sum it up, is a cross-functional strategy throughout your company, while the second bullet point is creating value and delivering it, while the third is thinking critically during any disruption of your daily options. And once again, this is the main takeaway, and in the next slide I will cover more on it with other points to emphasize. As you read through this, the main thing to understand what you're reading is this is just a bigger picture of operations management. We're showing how strategy influences daily operation, then we're connecting it on a global level, and finally we're seeing the link, which is the bigger picture. And this is the best way I can simplify all these bullet points for you. Here is my personal course experience in my MBA program. Starting with case studies, we learned how to analyze the theory applications we learned in the textbook. And then we applied it to certain business simulation games, and all these key concepts you see below is us putting it into action during the class and learning how operation management affects a real business in real time. And if you have any questions or concerns, just leave a comment below and we'll start our conversation that way. Welcome to Financial Management, your 3rd class in the Fast Dash MBA. Let's begin. Here before you are the basics for financial management. Please see your worksheets provided, and these will give you simple definitions of the 8 bullet points in front of you, and every business school that you attend will cover these 8 things, but in no specific order. That depends on your professor. Understanding the why behind business schools teaching financial management. The simple answer is money management helps make forecasts on short and long runs, and that in turn helps determine efficiency of funds. While estimation of required funds, also known as forecasting, like I just stated, this is basically how a firm finances overall operations and growth of your business or any business you're working for. While the third bullet point, determining the capital structure decisions, is a financial manager deciding mixture of all debts and equity acquired in your business. And the fourth bullet point, investment fund decisions, is just having a good investment plan that brings huge returns for your company. And to cap it off and simplify it, we're scaling and growing your business with financial management. The purpose of learning financial management is how we are creating value for our shareholders for whatever business corporation you're in. And with the profit and wealth, the main objective is financial management, while cash flow management is for short-term success, paying for day-to-day operations and materials, and capital cost management is minimizing capital cost which helps achieve higher profits. And depending on your business school, some focus more heavily in finance, while others just give you a basic definition. But this Fast Dash MBA is just to capture what you need to know for your own individual business or the company you're working for currently to help them get ahead. And if you refer to our workbooks provided, you should see these 3 definitions that can put it into words a lot better than what I just said. Or just go to Wikipedia pages and they do a nice breakdown. But this is just the general purpose behind financial management. On this slide are the 2 main takeaways you need to know for financial management. The first one is for managers interfacing with capital markets to learn the return required by the firm's different investors, how much value are you getting shareholders, and how efficient are you operating your business is. Are you pulling a profit or a negative loss? While the second bullet point is required return illustrates process of managers relying on informational efficiency of capital markets to communicate minimum return on investment that creates value within the firm. And that was just basically a recap of what I just stated before I read it out loud to you. Over the next 2 slides are corporate business formulas you're going to learn in every business program you attend. So just take a look at them and you can refer to the worksheet that was provided. A lot of these definitions are covered. If it isn't, just feel free to comment below and we can give you an explanation, and that would help the next student coming in behind you that will have the same question. Or we can just update more slides and cover them in small minor details if you would like. Woohoo, more formulas. Enjoy. Here is my MBA course experience of how I learned a 2-stage process for the optimal capital structure decision, and the 2 bullet points sum it up. So feel free to read. If you don't understand anything, just send us an email, comment on Facebook, Instagram, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Welcome to Financial Accounting, the 4th topic in the basic series of our Fast Dash MBA course. So let's begin. Here are the basics for financial accounting. On the left-hand side are the categories that you'll cover in your graduate program, while the right-hand side are the undergraduate topics. Now, the undergraduate topics are the ones you'll really need to have a foundation of before diving deep into annual reports, which will cover your financial statements. As always, make sure to reference the worksheets we've provided for you to get a quick and basic understanding of these topics. Understanding the why. Financial accounting is about quantifying your business. Its main focus is for external use by investors, creditors, and government regulators. What this means is that the data a company is compiling is specifically made for the review of any outside source, which can be anybody from auditors to a person looking to purchase stock in a company by reading through that company's annual reports. What's the purpose? Basically, it's the language of business. The financial position of a company is analyzed through reporting assets, liabilities, and other key factors that determine its overall financial health. Recording transactions is about understanding bookkeeping principles and figuring out if a profit or loss is occurring at that moment in time. The solvency position of a company looks closely at the balance sheets to determine whether or not it can meet its obligations in the long run. The opposite of that being liquidity, which is just a short-run position. And of course, financial accounting helps management with easier decision making. In addition to the previous slide, here are 3 extra bullet points to further emphasize the purpose of financial accounting. They are self-explanatory, so feel free to pause the video here before moving on to the next slide. At the forefront of accounting is the infamous accounting equation, which is just assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. The image you see here provides you with a more in-depth breakdown of how the equation actually works. As always, feel free to pause here before moving on to the next slide. Here are some of the biggest takeaways from my accounting course. As you see, there is a lot of valuable information to take away from here. The biggest course assignment involved analyzing a company's financial position through reading their annual reports and then explaining to detail what their overall health means and to determine whether or not it's a company worth investing into. More takeaways here that really just show how much there is to learn from an accounting course. All in all, you don't have to be a numbers person to understand the computing part of accounting because the math tends to be basic. It's more about understanding concepts, what they mean for a company's financial position, whether a company is worth investing into, and so forth. As always, if you have any questions about anything covered or something was not clear, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible so we can have an open discussion.
Welcome to the 5th course in the Fast MBA, Information Systems. Let's begin. Here are the basic 8 takeaways from Information Systems. Please refer to your handout or workbooks provided to get a better understanding of each of these 8 bullet points. Why do business schools study information systems? They take it on a strategic approach because, to simply put it, it's the way of life now, and you must be able to work with an ID department to explain business processes and get them all communicating together. It's a joint relationship that's made for success for any business. Here you can see the purpose of studying information systems. You'll learn the role of IT departments in your business or the business you're working for. You can learn the strategic applications that organizations need, and you can identify the key technologies for the type of industry you're in that will have profound impacts. And everything in business these days are data driven, which later on in the Fast MBA we will talk about business analytics that will break down data and what it is much better than what information systems does. The main takeaways for information systems, I can sum it up in 3 simple points. Point 1, data becomes a revenue generator. Depending on if you have the right data and if it's not skewed, you can tell a lot about your customers, while point number 2 makes a business unique in its own right with information systems. It's how you make yourself different from your competitors with what system was created for your industry or your business specifically. And if done right, it can make you very profitable. And point number 3, quicker decisions can be made with the right information systems in your business. And if set up correctly, automation will be smooth as can be, and what would take 10 people to make a decision on, 1 person can do it after you put the upfront work into it. Here are 4 examples of enterprise applications businesses can use. You got ERP systems, SCM systems, CRM systems, and KMS systems. Please look at the link below, or you can go to our blog, and I will personally write and break all these down and not bombard you with more slides in the Fast MBA program. My course experience in business school and my MBA program, I got to study a lot of Harvard Business Review cases, which threw me for a surprise in information systems, because I was like, why are cases going to help me understand information systems? But as you can see, the cases I studied were like Kodak's. It talked about how information systems help strategic alliances, and CVS Pharmacy showed me how if 2 pills interact negatively, a pharmacy on the spot in the company can stop that from happening for having the right system. And then Cisco Systems is having the right ERP implemented correctly can show you the difference between negative losses and profits. While Miss Fields is the cookies, it showed us operational effectiveness through information systems. And Zara's showed us how you can control inventory through information systems and how they upset the fashion world by a simple computer system that was not so simple, that took a lot of programmers to design, but it's how they got so far ahead. Welcome to the management section in the Fast MBA. Project management will be our first topic we cover, and let's begin. Here are the basics for project management. Under these 8 bullet points, please refer to your worksheet or workbook to get a better understanding moving forward for project management. Understanding the why business schools teach about project management. To simply put it, all projects are temporary with different time constraints, and completing projects the way your customer wants it is why business schools teach us it. And as you read through these bullet points, you can grasp what I just said and get a better understanding of it. And basically the goal is to produce a complete project that complies with the client's objectives. And that's why business schools usually offer this as an elective, because it goes hand in hand with management in any corporation you're working for. The purpose behind project management is very simple. It's being effective in maintaining objectives and finishing on time any project your corporation undertakes. Here's some simple bullet points of what you could be doing throughout a project. One thing you will learn about in project management course are the 4 P's. It's a big takeaway. It's plan, process, people, power, and I put simple definitions for you to get a better understanding. And also check out the blog post, just see the link below. Another project software tool that a lot of IT managers use is the Scrum framework. It can be applied to several different industries. It's highly preferred by most managers, and usually the project manager on software initiations will use the Scrum framework. And once again, I'm creating a whole different blog post for you to get a better understanding of what Scrum is, so please see the link below. My personal MBA course experience taught me how to use MS Project and just revisited theoretical concepts learned in Operations Manager, and it all goes hand in hand and connects with one another each course topic. Scrum, I learned, was the most optimal approach for all software development projects. The ones I personally use for my businesses, like software, is Trello and Asana. They're just common project manager software used by entrepreneurs. And this should be a required course for all MBA students because it's good to be organized for your whole MBA program or any simple home project or anything you can think of, basically.
Welcome to Managerial Accounting, the second topic in the management series of our Fast Dash MBA course. So let's begin. Here are the basics behind managerial accounting. The ones you'll really want to focus on is cost management and budgeting systems, as they are essentially the backbone of managerial accounting. As always, make sure you download the worksheets that we've provided for you so you can begin to develop a basic understanding of these key concepts. Why do we study managerial accounting? Simply put, to be better informed for decision making. It helps decide matters within an organization and aids in planning and control functions. While financial accounting focuses on the external review, managerial accounting focuses on the internal procedures by gathering and analyzing financial information relevant to business operation, cost analysis, and other key concepts you see listed here. In other words, it's about cost structure and budgeting. Understanding the purpose of managerial accounting. Looking here at the first bullet point, it's about being able to quantify and record on business by providing detailed and broken down information in different types of data. On this next bullet point, it's simply about making decisions based on the information that was gathered to stay within the scope and goals of a business. Here are the main takeaways from managerial accounting. Now, accounting in general contains a lot of different formulas, so the 18 that we've provided for you over the next 2 slides will be some of the biggest ones that your classes will be covering. So if you want to get a head start, make sure to reference the worksheets that we've provided for you at the beginning, as we've mentioned before, and you'll be able to develop a solid foundation before heading into any of these courses. Here are the additional formulas we'll want you to become familiar with. Now, as we've mentioned before, managerial accounting boils down to 2 things: cost structure and budgeting systems. So all the key concepts and all the formulas that we've listed and discussed here in this presentation all boils down to the cost structure and budgeting systems of every organization. So to sum up everything we've discussed about accounting here on this course, here's a great flowchart that really breaks down how both managerial accounting and financial accounting work within an organization. Feel free to pause this slide here so you can go ahead and read through at your own pace before moving on to the next slide. Similar to my financial accounting course, the main difference here was utilizing the principles from managerial accounting naturally. So some of the things we were looking at when we were analyzing a company was allocating its costs and profits to determine whether it's viable to purchase a building versus leasing it. We also looked at whether it's viable to outsource a service or perform that service in-house, or even hire more employees versus increasing the responsibilities of that company's current staff. Welcome to Organizational Behavior, our third subject in the management series of the course. So, let's begin. Here you have the basics on organizational behavior. Essentially, it's all about the psychology in the workforce. You could even see it as the psychology of human resources in a sense, because they work directly with employees and have to understand what makes them tick in order to make policies and regulations. Many of these are common sense, but as always, make sure to check out the workbooks and or worksheets that we provided for you to get a basic understanding. Why is organizational behavior such an important topic? As managers, understanding the behaviors of your employees is crucial in order to make sound decisions. Beyond the policy and regulations of human resources, this course studies the psychology behind behavior, as in, it teaches technical and functional skills needed in complex organizations. It also answers the question, why do we behave differently to certain events with our coworkers, competitors, suppliers, and anyone else that's integrated with the business? Understanding the purpose goes back to human behavior in organizational settings, since everything is psychological here. We're looking at 3 different levels, with the first being the micro level of individuals in organizations, followed by work groups at the meso level, and how organizations behave at the macro level. Here's a great breakdown done by the Harvard Business Review about organizational behavior split into 2 modules. This is also public information that you can find on their website. The first module looks at teams, individuals, and networks through determinants of group culture, managing performance of individual subordinates, and establishing productive relations with peers, and so forth. The second module becomes more advanced and looks at the actions of successful leaders, specifically how they develop a vision of the future, align the organization behind the vision, how they motivate their employees to achieve that vision, and how they create an effective organization to achieve superior performance. Overall, it was a great class to take an in-depth look not only at the psychology of the workplace relationships, but what my individual personality is like. My professor had us do several group activities to figure that out, and it was really interesting to learn because the better you know yourself, the better you can work and adapt with others. It's about communication and how you can establish good relationships with just about anybody. Our big course assignment was analyzing a company to identify their symptoms, underlying problems, and criteria in order to create, evaluate, and suggest an alternative solution for the organization. And of course, a big presentation at the end. My group specifically analyzed Amazon and their high turnover rate. Welcome to Leadership and Ethics, the 4th topic in the management series of our Fast Dash MBA course. So, let's begin. Here are the basics behind leadership and ethics. Essentially, it's a psychological course, but different from organizational behavior. As always, make sure to download the worksheets we've provided for you so you can begin to develop a basic understanding of these terms. There's a ton of valuable information to take away from this course because an MBA program is geared at making you an all-around effective leader. One of the best ways to do this is by being in charge of a group of people, or in this case, taking the leadership role in your small group projects. As a U.S. Marine veteran, leadership was one of the most important qualities they taught us, which I'll be discussing more about my experience towards the end of this video. Understanding the why of leadership and ethics. Firstly, they're combined because they complement each other very well. So looking here at the first bullet point, social influence is just the ability of a person to enlist the aid and support of others in the accomplishment of a common task. Next, we're examining individuals and teams and how they need guidance making decisions, designing, structuring, and building leverage. Lastly, organizations are all about establishing norms of practices, distinctly distributing work, and being analytical to overcome challenges. So what's the purpose of leadership and ethics? Every company needs a leader with a vision. So it's about getting you to that next level where you're able to effectively manage, influence, and lead your team to victory. A great leader is able to take ordinary people and get them to do extraordinary things. Remember that one sentence because every MBA program will take it and teach it to you in different ways. Here are some of the main takeaways as a part of your leadership and ethics course, from managing performance, conflicts, and culture to managing teams or designing cutting-edge human resources that get the best performance from your employees. Again, the ability to create extraordinary change. Straightforward, but important nonetheless. Although everyone has a different leadership style, the purpose of each one is to provide direction, implement plans, and motivate people. So the ones you're seeing here are going to be the styles that your MBA program will be covering, so make sure to keep them in mind. The first one we're looking at is autocratic, which means all powers are centralized to a dictator. Democratic or participative means social equality or what's best for everyone. Laissez-faire is basically giving an assignment to a subordinate and letting them figure it out on their own. It's about trusting your middle management team, which most entry-level management positions will take you depending on what company you work for. It's also a style that's found most commonly in startup companies. Task-oriented is about step-by-step solutions and deadlines, while relationship-oriented is about well-being, satisfaction, and building relationships. The following 2 slides contain some of the most common leadership traits and an in-depth definition for each of them. As we see here, we're looking at determination and drive, which the individual traits include initiative, energy, assertiveness, perseverance, ambitions, and sometimes dominance. And that individual, as you see, tends to pursue their goals wholeheartedly, work long hours, and are often competitive with others. The next one is cognitive capacity, with traits including intelligence, analytical and verbal ability, behavioral flexibility, and good judgment. These individuals are also able to formulate solutions to difficult problems, work well under stress or deadlines, adapt to changing situations, and create well thought out plans for the future. Here we have self-confidence, sociability, and integrity. Self-confidence and integrity are self-explanatory, and I personally like sociability because I don't believe it's often thought about from a leader. An effective leader who is sociable is a friendly individual, extroverted, tactful, flexible, and interpersonally competent. So what this means, if a leader is able to be sociable, is that not only are they socially accepted, they're able to use their diplomatic measure to solve the issues at hand and hold the ability to adapt their social persona to the current situation. As I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, leadership was at the forefront for basic training in the Marines. So here we provided the 14 leadership traits that the Marine Corps felt were the most important to instill in each and every one of us as a leader of Marines. A lot of our experience came from leading and marching a platoon through either drill or fire team patrols by calling out commands and assigning the right roles to reach our mission. Now, while many of us may not have the same experience, the concepts in all these training methods have the basic premise of what it means to be a leader. So everything considered, an effective leader is able to take charge of any situation and guide a group of small or large people by understanding their team's tendencies and behaviors to influence them to effectively complete the goal. Welcome to Strategy, our last topic in the management series of the course. With that said, let's begin. Listed here are the basics that your strategy class will be covering. Every professor is different, but they should all cover these 8 bullet points at one point in your course. As always, make sure to reference back to the worksheets that we've provided for you so you can become familiar with each subject and be better prepared for the class. Why is strategy a part of your MBA program? The following bullet points will provide you with a great insight as to that reason. Firstly, it's about being creative and learning how to think outside the box. But not just outside the box, strategy wants you to understand how to think about what's inside the box as well. Secondly, it's about understanding the influencers of the market and the impact they create on making decisions. In addition to the previous points, the following questions are examples that the management team of a company asks themselves in the beginning stages of creating an effective strategy. And it also provides great takeaways to get your mind thinking of what strategy comes down to. Now that we understand the why of strategy, let's discuss its purpose. Strategy can be an issue at the business unit level and a challenge when managing multiple business units. In the business unit level, we have to tackle the question of how a strategic leader can locate opportunities to achieve sustained competitive advantage. We become practitioner economists and psychologists, with economists being able to read market forces, while psychologists are better at understanding people and their decisions. Some of the challenges when managing multiple business units are when a strategic leader has to determine the right horizontal and vertical scope of the organization, such as implications for mergers, acquisitions, and various forms of alliances. Firm performance is a key takeaway from a strategy course because it looks at the development for why certain organizations perform better than others. There are several analytical tools necessary to create a successful strategy, so expect to perform different practical applications in your class that will cover the 5 sub-bullet points you see here. These are some of the most common concepts and frameworks discussed in strategy, so make sure to become familiar with them as they are core components in strategic management. The SWOT analysis and Porter's 5 forces are 2 concepts I myself used extensively in my strategic management class. This was a course that really brought up everything I had learned from my previous classes and put them to real-world use. It showed just how each of those topics are integrated and work with one another. In my group, we chose the company TomTom and took it through a full analysis using several different tools such as the SWOT and Porter's forces, with the end goal to create a strategy that will carry the company forward in its industry. Even though it was one of my tougher courses, as an entrepreneur, it was well worth the effort to understand the science behind strategy because it gave me an overall framework to how a business runs.
Welcome to the analytical section of the Fast Dash MBA program. The first topic we will be covering is business statistics. So welcome to it, and let's begin. Here are the basic 8 concepts to understand for business statistics. Please refer to your handout, worksheet, or workbook for reference to follow along moving forward. Understanding the why of statistics in an MBA program. As you can see on the slide, the early stage of your career is being a practitioner, and it teaches you how to collect, analyze, and present statistical data. While later in the stage of your career, you become a consumer, and it protects you on how to protect yourself from statistical claims and findings. Data can be manipulated by anyone. So this course in an MBA program will teach you how to correctly read statistics in the real world for whatever you need it for. The purpose behind statistics is statistical methods are many and good tools to use throughout learning business statistics. And then we have intuition is being increased from you learning how to make statistical inferences that help make decisions in the long run. Also, it helps the user see the big picture through numbers. So all the ones that don't like math, these days most statistical programs are software programs, and it does all the heavy lifting for you. And you just gotta learn how to program whatever software you're using, and it can do magical things and show you things you never knew existed. In most programs and businesses, you will use Microsoft Excel because it tends to be one of the best for introduction level, like programming for statistics, and you'll learn all kinds of new formulas and techniques for your business. To sum it up, uncertainty must be conquered to make better decisions. What this means is knowing what you're looking at and making sure the numbers are very certain before you make that final decision for your corporation or company. In business statistics, there's 2 basic models you will learn about: deterministic, which data is known with certainty, and probabilistic, which is the one we're going to focus on, mainly in business statistics. As you read through the definition, I will be explaining the assumptions. I'll try to simplify this as much as possible because statistics is a heavy subject for many to learn. So there's 5 key points. You got the problem, then you got the assumption, the model, solution, and prediction, and I based it all around a BMW, and behind each little topic of assumptions, I gave simple questions in relationship building between Y and X, which is listed as Y is mileage, X is age. And as you can see, that is the probabilistic system that you will encounter in business statistics during your MBA program. A key takeaway in statistics is game theory, which is an economics term, which I will cover more in the economics portion of the Fast Dash, but I gave a simple example here of the 2-person general sum game. The best way for anyone to learn is to watch the movie A Beautiful Mind. In the scene where Robert Nash, the character, is in the bar with his friends, and they illustrated how game theory was applied for women or men in a certain situation, and how we make strategic situations that capture our behaviors. My personal MBA course experience, we use specialized software in Microsoft Excel that was given to us by our professor, but you can easily purchase a lot of different softwares, even in Excel, which has their own unique statistics software that you can purchase extra. I wouldn't recommend doing this and just wait for your MBA course to give it to you. Or I can put some links below that point you to free software to use. It teaches you how to program formulas correctly in your spreadsheets. But the main thing I learned was statistics is the foundation of everything we learned in marketing, finance, and operation courses. This statistics course weeds out the newbie MBA students, and a lot struggle through this course because statistics is a hard concept to understand. And then also what I took away from my course was we got a real world project where we actually applied the theories and statistical techniques to the real world. And I did skittles and color differentiations. And see the attachment below, it's my report I did for my project. Some might understand it, some might not, but it's just to give you an example of something you would do in an MBA program. Welcome to the second topic of the analytical section, which is economics. So let's begin. Here are the basics of economics for an MBA program. Please refer to your worksheet workbook for definitions and better understanding moving forward. And a quick note is most business schools, depending on the professor, will cover macroeconomics for your first few weeks, so you have a basic understanding of how macro becomes microeconomics. In microeconomics, all these definitions you see are from microeconomics. And micro has more to do with business day-to-day operations and understanding in theory than macro does in the business world. Why do we study economics in business school? The very first thing to understand is public policy solutions helps economic inefficiencies. In other words, it gives us a basic understanding how to fix inefficiencies through policy. And then the second one, it helps individuals make optimal decisions under very different circumstances. And then moving on, you'll learn all markets and how economics affects you. But the key takeaway of the why is it's more than just a monetary discipline. Economics is a powerful tool for understanding society and the drive to maximize well-being. You'll take a lot away from an economics class in your undergrad or MBA program. Plus, there's a lot of great YouTube videos out there that help break down different topics on different economics. And the animations are great that explain so many different policies and how economics works as a whole, and understanding the why it's important for business. Now let's understand the purpose of economics. As you're reading through the bullet points, let me just clarify that the first one is all about managers and individuals creating supply and demand, which creates prices and quantities of goods, basically economic transactions. While the second bullet point is understanding market is crucial to achieving your goals as a manager. What I mean by that is understanding the market and how it helps day-to-day decisions, maximize your firm's value, which is the corporation's, net worth you can say, but the value of a Google, of an Amazon, of an Apple corporation. And then the final two bullet points, we'll learn how managers can use this to influence and to create market power. Here are some common definitions you will come across in economics. These I put in my own words to help simplify your understanding of what micro is and macro versus managerial economics. And in the next slide, we'll see a graph that just highlights it in an infograph instead of words. Here's that infographics graph. On the left, you can see microeconomics and macroeconomics breakdown and how it differs. And then on the right, I put managerial economics and the three places it focuses on, from demand analysis and forecasting to profit management and capital management. I hope this gives you a clearer, better understanding of the three differences between each economic field that you'll be learning through a business program. Most will teach you micro, and it leads into managerial. with 2 to 3 weeks just spent on macro so you get a basic understanding. My personal MBA course experience, I got to gain a lot of insight and tools for analyzing markets. I do have a bachelor's in economics, so a lot of this stuff made sense to me already. But what the MBA did was expand on my knowledge that was focusing on the global economy and the global business environment. Everything is tied into the global environment in a business school economics perspective. And this page just shows what the MBA expanded on for me to understand globalization a lot better, which I'll talk briefly about in the next slide. To continue on my MBA course experience, I learned a lot about international trade and finance in the MBA program and how globalization affects performance and strategies of nations and firms. And it helped develop the frameworks for analyzing both opportunities and risk when operating in a global business environment, which everything is done online today. And a lot of corporations in the Fortune 100 to 500 operate globally now and not just domestically like we once did in the past. So once again, the MBA programs will heavily be focused on the global economy. Welcome to your third topics in the analytics section, and this is all about business analytics. So let's begin. Here are the basic things you will learn in a business analytics setting in an MBA program. So please refer to your workbook as provided moving forward. And also currently right now, big data is very popular, and learning how to analyze data correctly is what we're about to briefly see, but it will expand more in an MBA program. Understanding the why of business analytics in current MBA programs. First of all, it's the future. And the main objective for analytics is mainly for marketing purposes, where we can gain insight to our targets, like markets, and optimize it. And from an operations perspective, we can develop technical solutions to issues at hand. And those are the two big whys from a business analytics MBA perspective. Now, understanding the purpose for business analytics as you read over these slides, they're pretty simple to understand, but we gotta also understand models are invaluable tools in managing and understanding complexity and anything we're studying from data, because data can always be skewed in any which way possible from the end user. So we have to correctly set up our softwares to understand the correct data for our current business situation. It's an inherent risk in many business problems from skewed data and the end user, whoever's programming the software, whatever manager or employee it might be. So this will give us a great purpose in understanding business analytics in an MBA program. And to sum it up, as a result, models are important at all levels in business, from operations to strategy, because it can take something very complex and make it really simple through creating infographics to any kind of charts you need while briefing a boardroom of executives or board of directors on a current situation in the marketing or operations department. Here are the big three analytics you will focus on in business analytics, from descriptive to predictive to prescriptive. Prescriptive tends to be the main MBA focus one. It's using simple software like Microsoft Excel, Power Pivot, or Tableau, which is now very popular. And prescriptive is more about simple business data and much easier to teach to business managers versus descriptive and predictive analytics, which are mainly for data mining people, where you can use certain programs to clean up a lot of data, and then it becomes ready for the prescriptive analytics phase. Here are some common analytic applications you would cover in a basic business analytics course. As you can see, it's a wide range of industries and functions listed below, And this is a good basis of what to expect in any business analytics course in your real MBA program, or for you to just get a general understanding. Some of these have been defined in your workbook, and as I come across good YouTube videos, free sources to use if you want to learn more about analytics, I will post some links under this video for you to review on your own time. Here are some sample courses you can expect to see in your business analytics, like concentration or specialization in your MBA program. Most of these will be offered as electives in an MBA program. Depending on the school you're going to, they might have a few of these or all of these. My personal MBA course experience was my concentration and specialization in the MBA program. I just tend to like data. It was definitely a love-hate relationship. And it was basically statistics, economics combined, but on steroids. If I had to put it in a quick description for you and what to expect, I learned a lot about raw data and how to sort it properly. It's amazing what the program software can do for you if it's set up correctly and the data's not skewed at all. And to really sum it up, it tells a story, and seeing statistics become an actionable thing of how to solve certain business problems.
Welcome to Business Law, our last subject in the analytical section of this course. So, let's begin. Here are the basics for business law. These are going to be key terms that all MBA courses will cover, so you'll want to become familiar with them. As with business, however, your main focus should be all the laws associated with contracts and sales. Make sure to see the worksheets and/or workbooks that contain the definitions for them provided with this course in order to get a basic understanding. Why is business law in the analytical section, you may be asking yourself? Because it's analytical in nature to decipher laws and to make sure you're compliant on any contract you've signed or sales agreement that you've released into the market. Understanding the why of business law. Firstly, by understanding the legal needs of a company, you'll learn how laws and regulations can impact businesses in an either negative or positive manner. At one point of any business, you'll need to seek legal advice, and by having a good understanding of business law, you will be better equipped to interact clearly and productively with legal professionals. You will also be able to understand rapid changes as they occur and how they will immediately affect business. And finally, it gives you an experienced approach in managing an organization more effectively. What's the purpose of business law? Here are 3 key concepts provided in the simplest way possible. You have to know the different types of laws because it helps managers address the problem correctly, and it avoids costly lawsuits, which every business will eventually have to deal with in their life cycle. As I mentioned earlier in the basics slide, a contract will be one of your main focuses, and a business law course provides the basics of it. And as we all know, people have emotions and needs. There are dozens of possibilities a manager can find themselves in where they will need to know how to manage employee relationships, because those types of situations can go in any direction. The following are main takeaways that you'll learn from your business law class. I can't stress enough how important contracts are to business law because they affect every business transaction, both formal and informal. Labor relations to employment regulations to shareholder rights will also be affected, so expect to learn a lot more about them in your course. When the professor begins to cover intellectual property, which is basically knowing how to protect your idea or product and what category does it fall under when filing for your intellectual property, you'll learn and understand what copyright, trademark, and patents are and how to avoid IP infringement. Corporate and company law, which are interchangeable terms, cover all aspects and constraints of running a business, while corporate governance, which cover all the rules, practices, and processes to direct and control a business, is mandated by a company's board of directors. All in all, by understanding and knowing the different types of laws associated with business, you can be successful in every business transaction that a company becomes involved in. Here's a breakdown by which type of entity a company can file under and a quick definition for each. There's a few others such as an S-Corp, but the ones listed in this chart are the main entities that you'll be learning about. This is a ton of information, so feel free to pause this slide so you can read at your own pace. This was actually a fun course for me, believe it or not, but by no means was it easy. I didn't have any general background knowledge of law, so it became extremely beneficial for me to understand as an entrepreneur. Our big assignments involve choosing multiple case studies provided by the professor and applying the theories and concepts into practical applications to the case. There will be a lot of reading and writing, but there is only a huge upside if you become well versed in business law. In addition to the previous slide, the following topics were several of the concepts that we studied and used through all of our case studies. Congratulations on making it through the final video of this course. As always, if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them in the section below and we'll have an open discussion.